The moment my CEO found me standing alone at the edge of the ocean, I knew my carefully guarded secret was about to come crashing down. The waves were roaring against the shore, the wind was pulling at my dress, and I was trying desperately to convince myself that losing my job would hurt less than losing the one person I had never expected to care about. Then his voice came from behind me, soft and teasing, completely different from the cold executive tone I knew so well. He asked if I was enjoying the view. I turned around, forced a smile, and said, "Only since you got here." What happened next changed both of our lives forever. Before we continue, if you enjoy emotional stories about love, second chances, and unexpected connections, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who loves heartfelt stories, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness for more stories about second chances. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need a little hope today. My name is Emily, and until that weekend, I had spent 3 years working for Daniel Carter, the CEO of one of the fastest growing companies in the city. To everyone else, Daniel was intimidating. He walked through the office with an expression that could silence an entire room. He expected perfection, remembered every mistake, and rarely allowed anyone to see what he was feeling. I had learned not to take his seriousness personally. I simply worked hard, kept my head down, and went home every evening to the tiny apartment I shared with my younger sister, Lily. After our mother died, Lily became the closest person in my world, and every decision I made was built around keeping us stable. Then everything changed when Daniel announced that our company would be holding an important retreat at a beautiful coastal resort. The purpose was to finalize a major partnership, and because I had worked on the project from the beginning, I was unexpectedly asked to attend. I should have been excited. Instead, I was terrified. My sister had been struggling financially, and just days before the trip, I had received a call from her landlord warning that they might lose their apartment. I had quietly decided to resign after the retreat and find a second job. I couldn't keep pretending that everything was fine. The first evening at the resort, I sat alone on the beach after everyone else had gone inside. The sunset painted the sky orange and gold, and for the first time in months, I allowed myself to breathe. I watched the waves and wondered how life had become so complicated. I didn't hear Daniel approaching until his shadow fell across the sand beside me. He stood there without his usual suit jacket, his sleeves rolled up, looking strangely human. He glanced toward the ocean and asked whether I was enjoying the view. Without thinking, I answered, "Only since you got here." The silence afterward felt enormous. My heart nearly stopped. I wanted the ground to swallow me. Daniel stared at me for a moment, then laughed, a genuine, warm laugh I had never heard from him at work. He sat down beside me and said he hadn't expected that answer. I tried to turn the moment into a joke, but something had changed. For the first time, we spoke without the walls of an office between us. That night, Daniel told me something I never knew. His father had built the company, but after his death, Daniel had spent years trying to prove he was worthy of carrying the family name. He admitted that being the CEO had taught him how to command people, but not how to trust them. I told him about my mother, my sister, and the fear I carried every day of failing the only family I had left. We didn't flirt. We didn't make promises. We simply talked, two exhausted people sitting beside an endless ocean. The next morning, everything seemed different. Daniel became distant again, almost painfully so. At breakfast, he treated me exactly as he always had, speaking professionally and barely looking in my direction. I convinced myself the previous night had meant nothing to him. Perhaps it had only been a moment created by the darkness and the ocean. Then, during the most important presentation of the retreat, disaster struck. A critical financial file disappeared from my laptop. Without it, our partnership proposal was incomplete. Everyone panicked, and suspicion quickly fell on me because I had been responsible for the documents. I stood frozen while executives questioned my competence. Someone quietly suggested that I might have accidentally deleted the file. Daniel said nothing. My heart sank. After everything, I thought he would be the first person to believe me. Instead, he walked out of the conference room. I felt betrayed. I had spent 3 years proving myself to that company, and now, when I needed him most, he had left me standing alone. But 20 minutes later, Daniel returned with the company's security director. He placed a tablet on the table and revealed footage from the hallway. Someone had entered my room while I was at breakfast and copied the files before deleting them. The person responsible wasn't me. It was an employee secretly working for a competitor. Daniel had investigated everything himself. After the meeting, I found him standing outside near the balcony. I thanked him, but he shook his head. He said he hadn't protected me because I was his employee. He had protected me because he believed me. Those words stayed with me. That evening, I received another call from Lily. The landlord had given us only 1 week to pay the overdue rent. I broke down after hanging up. I didn't want Daniel to see me crying, so I walked toward the beach. But he followed. This time, he didn't ask questions. He simply stood beside me. I told him I was planning to resign because I couldn't afford to keep working only one job. Daniel listened quietly. Then he told me that the company had a vacant position in its community development division, one that would come with better pay and flexible hours. He said he wanted me to apply, not because he was CEO, but because I had earned it. I refused his help at first. I didn't want charity. He understood. He told me he wasn't offering charity. He was offering an opportunity. Weeks later, I accepted the position. Life slowly began to change. Lily and I moved into a safer apartment. I started sleeping peacefully again. Daniel and I remained careful, knowing the complications of our positions. But something honest had grown between us. Months later, Daniel asked me to meet him at the same beach. The sun was setting exactly as it had that first night. He stood beside the water, nervous in a way I had never seen before. He told me that before meeting me, he thought success meant never needing anyone. I had taught him that strength could also mean allowing someone to stand beside you. Then he smiled and asked whether I was enjoying the view. I looked at the ocean, then at him, and smiled. Only since you got here. This time, neither of us laughed nervously. Daniel reached for my hand, and I let him hold it. Sometimes life doesn't change because the storm disappears. Sometimes it changes because someone finally chooses to stand beside you while the storm is still raging. Emily had gone to the beach searching for a moment of peace, never knowing she would find a second chance at love, trust, and hope. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support may help this story reach someone who needs to hear that their difficult chapter isn't the end of their story. And before you go, comment, "I believe in second chances," if you believe that the right person can enter your life at the moment you least expect it. Because sometimes, the most beautiful view isn't the ocean, the sunset, or the horizon. Sometimes, it's the person who arrives when you have almost stopped believing that anyone would stay.